So going back to our mock seam, like we were saying, it's most effective on a thick leather. So not so effective on the thin leather, most effective on the thick. The one thing that you have to note when you're doing a mock seam, that you really do need to be doing a twin needle stitch on it. Not just an edge stitch or a foot's width. You really need to have those double stitch lines to make it more nice and stable and secure. So we can start off by doing an edge stitch all the way along. Back tack to begin. Okay, with this thin leather you'll find that it will stretch a bit, so you've just got to hold it nice and stable. And you must be doing an edge stitch, so make sure you stitch on the actual edge of the leather. You can't be coming off the edge of the leather, and it needs to actually be an edge stitch, so don't get too close to that edge. I'm just going to move away, but yeah. We're going to spin him around, come back in. We're going to do a foot's width, put the edge of your foot on the edge of that stitch, and we're going to do a foot's width stitch coming back in. I'm only going to stop halfway so you can see the workings. You guys are going to do the same, but if this was your real deal, you'd actually keep going all the way through. But what's important for you to see is that where you've actually used the double-sided tape, so you can actually see part of the process and what you've done and how you've double-sided tape. That's the half of it, or most of it as well. So that's really important. So that's why we only top stitch back halfway for our sample, so you can see that tape, see what the workings are. So that's like stage 1 and stage 2. But yeah, in reality, you do double a twin needle all the way. Make sure when you're twin needling that you're catching. Don't do your twin needle so wide that you're missing that underlayer when you do your second twin needle. It must be a foot's width, so it must be, when you flip it over, it's an edge stitch on this side, edge stitch on that side, which means that second needle must be a foot's width only apart, especially if you've got a 1 centimetre seam allowance. If you wanted to do a wider stitch or a wider top stitch on it, then you must have a bigger seam allowance so that you can catch both sides. That's really important. That's what you need for stability and strength. If you don't have those 2 rows of stitching, there's no strength in it. It's not a good stable stitch, okay? Any questions on that? So basically this is your 1, 2, 3 seams, your closed seam, closed seam, open seam, and your mock seam. You'll need to cut out, like mine are irregular, it doesn't matter, I've just cut out what fitted into the leather. As your first rectangle that you need to cut out for